It's Tuesday, August 22nd. This is an end of the day SPY recap, and today on the daily chart we end up with a two-up failure looking bar that kind of moved above the high the previous day but closed red inside the previous day's range. So when you look at this chart, you kind of expect a little bit of follow through to the downside to take out that low with the big red bar. Obviously, the first target would be the low of Monday. If we take out that low, then that kind of turns the weekly chart red. That yellow line is the open of the week, so we have continuity to the downside. And of course, the monthly chart at the moment is red with a 2-down month. With still time to go in the month, I can still see filling in down here, this gap between the high of this bar and the low of that bar, so there's still room to run lower. If we look at that on the weekly chart, if we continue lower, at some point you can see kind of that whole gap is in here. So I'm kind of expecting this area to be, or filled in until proven otherwise. It doesn't have to, but that's kind of the target at the moment in the bigger picture. And now that we have a kind of a two-up failure day, you're expecting follow through lower, and we'll see if that unfolds and maybe kind of takes out the weekly low at some point of last week, which is that red bar, and we had the low here. You can see we do have a little bit of pausing air, if depending what happens in the morning, right? This little midway point of this buying tail, that would kind of be an attempt at support if it wants to. But if it gets through there, then it looks like we have a 2-down, and the weekly chart's turning red and heading, to a new weekly low possibly. So that's kind of what we're looking at, until proven otherwise. If we start above the midpoint of this day and then kind of work up, then all bets are off. Anything above this yellow line with the proper open and everything else can still be green on the week. So we'll keep that in mind. But for this chart to kind of move up tomorrow, we got to get at least above the midpoint of today at some point. If not, then I'm expecting lower. In terms of today's price action, pretty clear trading, given that you have the continuity of the downside in the big picture. You had a wide pre-market range between the blue lines. You opened up here on bar number 1, red. Bar number 2 followed through. There's your sell signal. I actually aggressively sold it. I shot a video, bought puts on this 5-minute chart. If I could spread it out just a little bit, you can kind of see here it went down for 3 bars. Then it had on the first 5-minute bar of the next 15-minute bar, it went up and had a shooter bar, and then I bought the puts here on this breakdown, anticipating this low would take it out, which once that happened, that turns the 15-minute chart red for bar number 2. It paused a little bit, held the midpoint of that first bar, and we worked our way down to targets of yesterday's close, the yellow line, and the pre-market lows in here. And then it's not surprising, again, with the overall structure of the day down, we're way below the first bar low and holding there all session long. Even though it's not an actionable trade, unless you just want to kind of do it based on price action. You can see here, after we kind of made our 1-2 pushes down, even another push down, not surprising that you come up, take out some buy side liquidity on an overall down day, and that becomes a perfect selling area to go back to the lows a little bit. Obviously, you're running out of time in the day. It's not a trade I look to take, but price action wise, logic wise, in the downtrend, you're going to be taking out, either get directional moves, at some point in the day. In this case, it was early. And then once that stops, you're looking to kind of sell on, once buy side liquidity is taken out. And you can almost see that on the 5-minute chart. If you look at it that way, maybe, when it takes out the liquidity and then you get strong displacement on the downside, that's how you're kind of just taking that out. And the odds are you're heading to the bottom of the range again. So anyway, we'll end the day, we end with a red bar kind of here. Aftermarket, we're kind of just floating around here. So you expect those lows to be taken out at some point tomorrow. And we will just see, what unfolds here to the downside. If this overall trend wants to continue lower, in line with taking out some, fair value gaps and everything here on the bigger time frame chart. So there's still a potential, next wave down here. We'll keep that as the main focus until that weekly chart really turns up. And for now, we still have 3 days to go in the week, so who knows? It's still possible we don't do that and we head up. So we're just going to watch where opening price action leads us tomorrow, mid pre-market range between the blue lines, and then as always look at that first 15-minute bar, how it opens and how that relates to the entire picture and the context that we've just outlined.